The first time, I went and saw Sleep No More, and it completely exploded my mind to the possibilities of storytelling. And what I love most about it is it's the one thing that we can do as theatrical storytellers that TV and film cannot do. There was so long in the 80s with the mega musicals and whatever that we were just trying to be TV and film. How many special effects can we throw at you? Well, in a public school, we don't have the money for helicopters to come down and decide on. What we do have are multiple spaces that we have access to.
Yeah.
And making an experience that they cannot have by staying home to watch TV is a truly, truly exciting thing for you, because it will challenge you artistically, and how often do we really get to say that? An amazing experience for the kids, and an amazing experience for the audience who has likely never experienced this kind of thing.
So we are going to give you, like I said, an opportunity to create these two separate spaces. As we're inviting you to do this, it's much larger than our other group. There is no wrong or right answer. Don't feel, the only wrong answer is we're not filtering into an audience and sitting in a proscenium across the stage. That's the only thing we're not doing. Everything else is go, right? So people sit over here. Immersive theater is the audience is a part of the production in some capacity. How can we make that happen in these spaces? It's found spaces, that's what Dale was talking about, right? So often in our schools, we don't have time, we don't have space. Immersive theater, use the hallway. Immersive theater, use the bathroom for a one-on-one scene. Immersive theater, use a classroom to create a banquet table, right? How do we get audience members to move around from various location to location? And then inviting the audience to be a part of the piece. Actors and audience are working together. The line between audience, quote unquote, audience was blurred.
So we're going to give each group, because I'm about to divide you into two groups, we're going to give each group about 20 minutes. You are going to be given a scene from Shakespeare's Much Ado About Nothing. They're adapted, so you're not having to navigate necessarily iambic pentameter today, but you're still getting the crux of the scene. And you're going to work with your group to stage the scene in an immersive space. You can see over here along the floor, there's lots of pieces of stuff that can be played with, but also literally anything in the room is here for you to use. Chairs, tables, anything you want to use. And the same is going to apply over there. Is everyone familiar with Much Ado About Nothing?
Yes. Is anyone not familiar?
Essentially, there are two couples. It is a Shakespearean romantic comedy. There are two couples. There are Beatrice and Benedict, who had a thing in the past, and now they despise each other, even though everyone knows they actually still really like each other. And they get tricked into liking each other again. But they very much, it's kind of like Taming of the Shrew. It's a whole lot of witticisms and barbs and who can outsmart each other. And then there is Claudio and Hero, who are the younger, kind of more fiery, passionate couple who are planning to get married, which goes horribly awry. So I'm going to divide you into two groups. One group is going to stay here and do the party. The other one's going to go across the way and do the wedding. Again, please keep mind to the 20 minutes. We'll give you call times. But one group last time was like, oh, it's been 12 minutes and we haven't started. We've just been talking. So 20 minutes flies by. So
I would also recommend once you get into your space, divide into actor and designer. Because since we are transforming these spaces, start together, discuss with each other, but then divide so that you can get as much done in a very short amount of time. Any questions before we split up?
All right, ones are going to stay in here and throw a party, and twos are going to go across the hall and throw a wedding. So twos, come with me.
There's music here. The lights can be turned on and off. Any material here can be used. I'm here to support. There's something else that I wanted to say before I let you go, which is, think about how to blur that line between audience and performer. How do we invite our audience into the space and make them part of the scene? Any questions? Great, have fun, that's all I'm gonna say. We read first and then
Yeah.
a lot of ideas like building off of each other.
So we'll just go around.
Go around.
The line.
Yeah, you want me
The
to
line.
I'll start. Much about nothing. Masquerade scene adapted. Revelers enjoy the masquerade party throughout the space and try to guess who is who. The following conversations are flirtatious. Ursula and Antonio step forward.
I know who you are.
I promise you that I'm not.
Didn't finish.
Sorry.
But you're good. You're on it. You are Senor Antonio.
I promise you that I'm not again.
You are. I know you by the funny way that you are waggling your head. I promise you that I am not. I am just impersonating him. No one could impersonate him this well unless they were the man himself.
I promise you that I am not.
Do you really think that I don't know you, Senor Antonio? Come on, let's dance.
They move to dance. Beatrice and Benedict move forward.
Will you not tell me who told you so?
No, I'm good at keeping secrets. And you won't tell me who you are.
Not yet.
It's fine. I know that it was Senor Benedict that said it.
Who's he?
I am sure you know him well.
I've never met him, believe me.
Did he never make you laugh?
Make me laugh. What is he?
Oh, he's the prince's jester. He's not very good at it, though. Only the dumbest man find him funny, because he doesn't really know how to deliver a good joke. He makes them laugh by insulting them, so they seem to love and hate him at the same time, which makes sense. He's very easy to hate.
When I meet him, I'll let you know what I think of him.
Please do. Of course, he will say that the fault is mine and I have no sense of humor, but that's not true. I have a great sense of humor when people are actually funny. But we should go inside. The feast is about to begin.
Does anyone even appoint an actor, just so we can divide that actor versus designer? This for four characters. Amazing. Call her character.
Beatrice. Sure.
Antonio.
Benedict.
Ursula. Amazing.
Huzzah.
Cool. I don't know why I said like this. No, sorry. Is there anyone who's unfamiliar with what you do? Great. How are you doing? I'm understanding this. Great. They're masked, right? So they're just teasing each other. You don't know who they are, but they're figuring it out, right?
It's like the Cinderella story.
Yeah, it is.
Exactly.
Any ideas that we want to we want to yes and on top of everyone's ideas so that we build a lot and then we can edit rather than arguing about. That's what I tell my students when we do group projects. Okay. Answering these kinds of questions. How do we invite the audience in? I have an instinct of like giving them a glass when they come in or like guiding them to a bar or something.
Yeah.
But I see there's glasses over there. Someone add an idea on.
Also, like, encouraging them to dance. Like, people are dancing.
Yeah.
So we're all
So we're all actors there.
It's all math.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, we should do math.
Like signal mark.
And balloons spread out.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Should we set
On
get their
boxes, like
lids down?
table. We might need to give them instructions so they know what the point of wearing the mask is. Yeah, exactly. Like, we
Okay.
shoot boxes and
So
yeah.
we get them.
They know what to do.
Yeah.
What else?
Do we want to have someone on sound pick some music for the dance party?
Yeah.
Dance 1 hour loop or 2 loops. Dance.
I think that sounds good.
Yeah.
We'll take it.
Alright, so if I am a participant, I'm walking in, first thing I'm greeted by who?
Yeah, who do we
I
want?
got the masks out.
Beautiful.
Fine.
Grab the mask
Perfect.
and
Who wants to
grab
give
my
glasses
dog.
out?
I can hand glasses out.
Okay, glasses and masks. What else do we have?
Okay.
Do actors want
I
I feel like our actors need the bigger masks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Great.
You know, 14 minutes? Thank you.
14.
Thank you, 14.
Yeah.
And how do we guide them so we have, I think we should have the two couples in different spaces so that the audience gets guided to them.
Oh, yeah, I have two different settings, number one is the masking, and then maybe we continue to walk through the room.
Yeah.
Maybe secondary, it's good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Feel free to move anything as long as we can.
And
And then we swap
Hey,
I don't know. I don't know if it's
I
necessary.
dig it.
Thoughts on an idea that Elisa said? Elisa was saying.
Having the scenes happen simultaneously twice. So half the audience think, you know,
I like our
Entering this.
well, the actors could be part of the dance. And it's kind of
Start. How did we just start?
yeah.
And this reminded me a little bit flash mob. I really want to do this limbo thing.
Yeah.
I thought that. I'm sorry. I don't know where it goes, but go.
10 minutes. Actors should always interact with the audience before the scene starts. We should talk to them,
So we're doing the
dance with them, hang out.
and then kind of
We'll just cue them.
Can we do brother show?
Should we sit down for our scene? Or sit down? No.
Alright, running. I'm coming in as a participant. Just got my thank you. Oh, okay. It's a little strange. I am your leader. Got y'all.
Sorry.
But there will be people who really do say, and that's like the pivot point for us, so we're about to stop and this one. At the same time.
Right.
Okay. So audience
Sorry. One who walked up on here.
So like, people are
Right, just for clarification purposes, we're still doing the tongue somewhere. Director!
No, I'm gonna keep it secret.
Rachel, you're the director.
Yeah.
Clarify, we'll see her in the scene, right? So there's something or something here.
And
I know you by the funny way that you were waggling your head.
I promise you that. I am not that. I'm just impersonating them.
No one can impersonate him this well unless they were the man himself. No one can impersonate him this well unless they were the man himself.
I promise you that I am not.
You really think that I don't know you, Sir Antonio? Come on, let's dance.
No, I'm good at keeping secrets.
And you won't tell me anymore?
Not yet.
Well, it's fine. I know that Senor Benedict was the one that said it. I'm sure you know him well enough.
I've never met him, believe me.
Did he never make you laugh?
Ah, made me laugh. What is he?
Oh, he's the Prince Jester. He's not very good at it though. Only the dumbest men find him funny because he doesn't really know how to deliver a good joke. He makes them laugh by insulting them, so they seem to both love and hate him at the same time, which makes sense. He's very easy to hate.
When I meet him, I'll let him know what you think of him.
Please do! Of course, he will say that the fault is mine and that I have no sense of humor, but that is not true. I have a great sense of humor when you're actually funny. Well, we should go inside. The feast is about to begin. That's it!
Alright.
How you feel? Good. Yeah.
One thing I feel like we're missing is some background music with the other scene.
Like, can they just play like the PS9 or can you go back
I struggle to hear.
To hear?
Yes.
Okay.
And I think we need extra sound. I think it's like, hey, now they're talking, let's focus.
It's still not a party that physically throw focus with the like gossip.
Yes.
Yeah.
Lots of gossip and pointing.
Can I ask you about masks?
Yeah.
We're not ready. Thank you.
So tell me again,
I feel better.
music? I was not here.
Music.
Julie, you guys are probably the other one.
Yes.
Does it go down all the way?
I would say, can we fade out?
Fade out.
Out.
I couldn't hear.
Yeah.
And then limbo and then fade
And
out.
then limbo, fade out. Actors don't start until you hear the sound stop. Or maybe.
What's my
Do you
name?
want them to exit back to the original song?
Yeah, ooh, and then get
Exit to the festival.
Is that possible?
Yeah. I just need to know my cue for fading out, and I need to know my cue for back to the original song.
They're coming in, they're getting those. What's
The first-
What's your?
My favorite line?
For
So I know who you
just
are.
give me a tap on the shoulder. I'll figure it out. Okay.
There you go.
Once everyone's in place.
Yes,
Okay.
and you guys start to sit down. Are you speaking
start.
before you sit?
We're gonna sit and then. So wait, once we sit down, can you do that? Once we sit down.
What is it down here?
I know who you are. You are Senor Antonio.
I promise you that I am not.
You are! I know, by the way, the funny way you're waggling your head.
I promise you that I'm not. I'm just impersonating him.
No one could impersonate him this well unless they were the man himself.
I promise you that I'm not.
Do you really think I don't know you, Senor Antonio? Come on, let's dance!
No, I'm good at keeping secrets.
And you won't tell me who you are.
Not yet.
Well, it's fine. I know that Senor Benedict was the one that said it.
Who's he?
Oh, I'm sure you know him well enough.
I've never met him, believe me.
Did he never make you laugh?
Made me laugh. Well, what is he?
Well, he's the Prince Jester.
Ah.
He's not very good at it, though. Only the dumbest men find him funny because he doesn't really know how to deliver a good joke. He makes them laugh by insulting them, so they seem to love him and hate him at the same time, which is quite easy to hate him.
When I meet him, I'll let him know what you think of him.
Oh, please do, yes, of course. He will say that the fault is mine, and I have no sense of humor. But that is not true. I have a great sense of humor when people are actually fun. But we should go inside. The feast is about to begin. Yes, yes, yes. Jesse! Woo!
go get places and set up.
As they're setting up, very nice, press party.
Tear it down.
Please strike as quickly as you can, and once they're ready, we'll stop our strike. Sounds great. Thank you.
Not hot. No, I have been as chaste as a schoolboy. She, on the other hand,
I have been nothing but faithful.
I saw you, hero, in your window last night, the very night before you were to become my wife.
Now look, if you have any proof of these accusations are true, I will gladly.
It is true. I witnessed it.
I was with him too.
I saw it first and came to him myself to save him from a life of deception.
It wasn't me. I could never.
Quiet, hero.
Oh, I shall leave now.
Sir, wait! What have you done?
How did that feel? What did you notice through that?
I felt that I understood the scene, what was happening in the conflict, and who everybody was a lot better through that immersive experience.
Okay. Thinking of my students with special needs, thinking of myself, I was totally in it. Like, there was no wandering. I wanted to hear everything. I wanted to see everything.
Engaging.
Very engaging.
Invested in figuring out what was going on. So unsure, but like the stakes were high for like, let me figure out what's going on.
And that's a very exciting thing about immersive theater is every time that you enter a space, it's a mystery. Because none of your assumptions are being met. You hear you're going to your kids play and you expect to sit in an audience in the dark and see a show. Every space you enter, you have to figure out, which engages you on so many different levels. We have each done these in our school, but yours was 4th grade, correct? And mine was high school, so we've kind of developed somewhat similar but different structures that allow us to do this. So we're just going to talk you through those. We have until 12 to 10.
12, yeah.
Okay, that's good. So we're going to kind of talk you through our approaches and hopefully take some questions. Also, both of our emails are over there. If you don't get information you wanted today, feel free to reach out.
Great, so I'm going to start. I could talk about this for hours. I love immersive theater. Sleep No More was my first experience with immersive theater, and then I kind of just fell down the rabbit hole, no pun intended. And I thought about how I might do this with a group of 4th graders who, this was back in Sheepshead Bay, when I was in Sheepshead Bay, so English language learners, and it was about 32 kids in a class. So thinking about how I might make this work for an entire grade of students, over 100 students. So, and it worked, and it was, I think, probably the piece of theater that I'm most proud of, that I've created. And I just saw some students in their own production of Mean Girls, and they're now in 12th grade, and they were like, oh, remember when we did Macbeth at school? So this is something that they remembered throughout. So, so I'm going to talk about just kind of the structures because I could talk for hours. I'm going to talk about how I approached it and the logistics behind it, and I'm happy to answer any questions as well. So, as Dale opened, the foundation you need a strong foundation in order to make this work. They're loud, so I'm going to try to be louder. You need a really strong foundation to make this work. So I decided to have 5 separate spaces. Logistically, that just was the auditorium space. We opened and closed in the auditorium with the whole audience coming together just because they trickle in. They had something to do. There was music setting the space. The actors were throughout the space. There were some actors on stage if they needed to be on stage. There were actors who would then be in later spaces, inviting the audience into the space and having small improvised scenes between the 2 of them, or 2 to 3 small groups of them. So it was framed with enter and exit in the auditorium for the entire audience. Then my classroom, theater classroom, was used. The music teacher's class, so my classroom was Duncan's Murder. The music teacher's room was The Prophecy with the witches in the forest. And we had the entire 4th and 5th grade chorus around the space, and the audience entered as they were singing in the round. Another classroom, fourth grade classroom, was used as the outdance spot scene. And then fourth grade classroom uses the banquet scene. We pulled all the desks together, put a fire up on a smartboard, made it cozy with a tablecloth. The teacher had gone out and bought a vase of flowers and setting with plastic plates and cups. These 4 scenes were decided on, the classroom scenes were decided on after reading through Macbeth, talking about it, really digging into the story and the characters. The kids decided these are the scenes that we feel like are the crucial moments in the play, because the whole structure of the piece was that there were spirits of Macbeth that were coming back and talking to the audience and taking the audience on a journey of, let me find out where it went wrong, what led to my demise, come help me find. Was it here? Was it when Duncan was murdered? Was it here? Was it at the banquet when I saw the ghost? Where did it happen, right? And so logistically, that's why those were the 5 scenes that we did. The structure for the audience. So I talked about the spirit guides. Logistically, right? I'm in a school with a lot of students who are English language learners. Their families are as well. And they've also, for the most part, unless they went to see something like Asleep No More, have probably never experienced immersive theater. So each audience guide, spirit guide, and these were some strong students that were spirit guides, had a wristband that was a specific color. There was a moment in here where people had talked about, oh, if they have this color mask, maybe they do this. If they have this color mask, maybe they do this. So logistically, for me, it made it much easier to split. If I had 120 kids in the production, if each kid came with 2 adults, splitting all of those people. There was a blue wristband, a yellow wristband, a red wristband, and a green wristband. And when each audience member entered, they were given a sticker. And so that sticker color went with the wristband color. And so when, after the opening scene, we set the structure, where did it all go wrong? Come, audience, help me decide. Come on this journey with me. Let's go back in time. The guides split off into 4 different spaces in the audience, and then just held up a band and figured out where they needed to go. Then each guide had their own order, right? Were they going to classroom 3, then classroom 4, then classroom 1, then classroom 2. And then the green guide went to classroom 2, then classroom 4, then, right? So that no 2 groups were in the same classroom at the same time, and they always had the exact same order that they were going through. It didn't matter the order of the scenes. The kids in the group, in the classrooms, just did them on loop. I don't know that I meant, no, I did not. Each group had 2 spirit guides, because they were in 4th grade, right? So they had someone to lean on, and asking 4th graders to lead around audiences of adults can be quite intimidating. So I had one at the front of the group, one at the back of the group, and they would round people up. They practiced a lot of improvisation if they needed to vamp, and they really deeply dug into those characters. If ever they needed to vamp, that audience being a character was always that actors were prompted, were told to prompt the audience, what do you think? Is that what happened? Is that what led to my demise? Is that, right? So always the audience was that character deciding, helping Macbeth decide what went wrong. Communication strategies. So how do we get all the scenes to happen at the same time so that we can bring everyone together at the end as we need to? And how do we get each scene to run simultaneously? So each classroom had a nonverbal scene and then the scripted scene. And the purpose of that was twofold. First, because I was in school with English language learners who really, really wanted to act, but just didn't feel like they could have mastery of the language to be able to perform, were too nervous to perform, right? Some kids had mastery of the language and just could not bring themselves to speak in front of an audience. Creating that nonverbal scene helped them understand this play deeper, and that scene specifically, and those characters deeper, and then gave those kids an opportunity to perform without using language, without using words. Each nonverbal scene was the exact same song, so we texted each other. Banquet scene is ready, let me know when to press go. Classroom, outdance spot scene is ready, let me know when to press go. And we all pressed go on the song at the same time. The song was a minute, and then the scenes just ran right into the next. So they'd pass on the costumes piece, whoever was playing Duncan in that, and the nonverbal would then play Duncan, would pass the crown or whatever it was to the next Duncan. Then they would run those scenes, and the scenes were almost about the same time, right? That a page and a half or so of text. So that's how that went. And I said that the actors practice guiding the audience if they needed to vamp, right? There's a signal, there's a teacher in each classroom that would just give them a signal like hold or go, and they knew if they needed to hold, how to vamp. If they needed to go, they knew their next move. I think I covered everything. That's it, yeah. I'm gonna pass over to Dale to talk about how he did this with high schoolers. Sessions.
Yeah.
So from January, probably before maybe May, and I saw the kids twice a week.
Oh.
So with me, I teach high schoolers who can be given a whole lot more independence, and I did it not based in class, but in after-school production. So it definitely helped because I had only students in the room who wanted to be there. There are a lot of challenges that come with just your usual sophomore class versus the 6 sophomores that want to do this all the time. So we started brainstorming with what kind of play do we want to tell. Now my master's degree is in playwriting, so I'm not coming at this in a completely devised way, but I am working with them to get them invested. I wanted a truly immersive experience, so I was smart enough to say, what's a story that can happen in a school? Then any room you step into is already set dressed for you. You need to add like 3 things to be a specific thing, but every room that you walk into, like you open in the auditorium, wow, did it look realistic. So both times that I did this, we set it in a school. And the first one was a murder mystery. The second one was a ghost story. And the way that we set it up, everyone arrived at the murder mystery, called back to school night. And you walk in and everybody comes in and they sit down, and everyone who's in the show is also just seated there, but they are dressed in red. They're in red. This way you can identify actors. So they're all sitting there spread throughout. Other people come in, they sit down. Out comes the person who's playing the assistant principal. She welcomes everyone, to back to school night. We're so happy that you're here. Throw some jokes in there. Then all of a sudden from the back of the auditorium runs a student that's in security uniform. Whispers in her ear, something horrible has happened, the principal has been murdered. So everyone goes to the principal's office, where we see the first murder scene. And the AP is like, well, obviously no one can leave until the police arrive. But since you're already here, we might as well have parent-teacher conferences. And so all of my 18 actors take off in different directions. We used 3 floors. We had permission to use most any room, including we had a one-on-one happen in a janitor's closet while the custodian was washing bloody rags and never spoke and just kept looking at someone. And they get really, really into it. It's really, really exciting. But the way we did it, for example, one of my triangles of characters, because you do it just with sets of 3, but they go so many different places, no one realizes how limited it is. It seems like it's everywhere. But we have one set of characters where they had just canceled the middle school production of Gypsy. And the 7th grade girl who was going to be Mama Rose, her stage mother is not happy that this has happened. So I had this, so throughout the building we put big posters of literally this 7th grader I had being like this, and big canceled signs across it. So we've got this mother and this 7th grade daughter, and they are a unit. Kind of they are one character, to the point that the 7th grader never did anything unless she was given a direction to do it. Like she was that much of a stage kid. Then we have a music teacher and a drama teacher. Drama teacher is based in the drama space in the basement. Music teacher is based in the music room on the first floor. So we start, they go off, the music teacher is walking to his classroom, and the mother is like yelling after him going into the hallway. What is going on with this production? I heard that it was canceled. And they get to the music room, and there's a scene where the music teacher is trying to calm her down. And the drama teacher has gone to the drama classroom in the basement where he's starting to set light cues. We had a projection go up with all the signs that say Rose. Like, he's running this tech. I step to that button that they use to ring through the building when you need a janitor for something. I hit it. That means next scene. That mom has her last line to the music teacher. She's fuming. She runs out of the room. She is now walking the halls to all of the audience members, explaining what a travesty it is and giving them flyers to save the musical. The music teacher goes a different way because he's like, I've got to warn the drama teacher this is coming. So he goes down into the drama space. Then, so you've got like this A-B scene, then this B-C. Then the music teacher leaves because the mother in the last scene arrives to talk to the drama teacher. And the music teacher goes back to his classroom where he has folders and he is literally talking to audience members as if they are parents of students in his class because it's back to school time. So they all have one moment that they just interact with audience, and then they have one moment with each of the other people. Then there's an announcement. Ladies and gentlemen, unfortunately there's a situation in the gym. Entire cast and audience goes to the gym, second murder scene. Then, those three actors go do exactly the same thing they already did. They leave the gym and the mom is yelling at the music teacher, what's going on with this production? This is a travesty. She goes back and yells at this music teacher. Then she flyers. Then she goes to the drama teacher. So they're just repeating the same 15-minute play 3 times. With the final, ladies and gentlemen, please report back to the auditorium, and that's where they end. Thing is, that seems really, really simple, but you get 6 different groups doing that, pulling you into like tiny rooms behind the auditorium where they have entire theory boards with every cast member's picture and red yarn. You've got a chemistry teacher that just starts teaching you how to make arsenic at home. And you get lost in the confusion as to what the order is by spreading it everywhere. But it actually is very, very simple. And then you're just rehearsing one group of 3 kids each day. You're like, okay, today I need the musical group. Today I need the science teachers. Today I need the math. And you're running it that way. Now what's crazy is that means on the day of the show and tech, you just trust them. You've rehearsed them, and then you're like, all right, and we saw this murder scene, and you've got 18 kids in 12 spaces right now doing a show. And you're kind of circulating, but you just trust that the second floor is happening. But you can do anything you want. I did in the ghost story, there was a scene between a mother and a daughter. And they literally, one was on the second floor, one was on the first. It was done through speakerphone. And then a big moment happens and the mother hangs up the phone. So if you're up there, you see what happens. But if you're in the first floor, you're now trying to run upstairs to find out what happened. And by the time you get there, it's gone. But that's okay because they're performing that scene 2 more times. So now you know you want to follow that character. And these are the shows that I did at my last school that the next day the hallways were abuzz. Like, I don't know how they did this because they just were so engaged and energized by what my students were doing.
Something I forgot to mention is that students, I talked a lot about performers, but students were also designers. So the classes split within their class period into lighting, costume set, sound design, and did essentially what you did in these spaces. They practiced them in my theater space, right, because I only had each class work on one theater space at a time, and then the week leading up to the show, we took over the 4th grade classrooms.
And we had to communicate for our show with the main office because I had to have access to how do I make announcements over the PA system. We had to communicate with custodians because they were taking out half the lights in each hallway so that it got dimmer. Lots of different things were happening. But once you get them in there, then also your community feels invested in the show. And they kind of feel more invested in what you're doing in probably your weird little dark room in a corner. It starts becoming more of a community effort, which is great. I think the main message here, though, immersive theater is, by standards of theater, immersive theater is like 5 minutes old. Like, it is so new. There is no wrong way to do it. And it can be really exciting. Because if you have 60 people come to your show in your auditorium, it looks like no one showed up. But if you have 60 people divided into 3 groups of 20 cramming into regular sized classrooms, it looks like the event of the semester. So there's so many possibilities, and it really is only limited by yours and your students' imagination. Whether it's better to have a guided tour, whether it's better to explore, maybe do that exploring, but only use 5 classrooms on 1 floor. Whatever you're doing to create this is just a different way of telling stories.
As said, we could talk about this for hours, and our emails are there too, if you have any questions. Are there any questions? We have like 2 minutes left here.
How did the audience member know to follow? They just chose, it was free for all.
So, yes, so you do have to give a curtain speech at the beginning. You have to give a basic primer of here's what immersive theater is and this is how it's going to work. You say things like you follow characters, you can go wherever you want. If a door is locked, it's not part of the show. Otherwise, explore. Characters are in red. Just so they start to get that. And just because they don't really, most of your audience has never done this kind of thing. But then, half the fun is letting them figure it out.
I'm doing an immersive show for the first time, and I love to both your brains at some point. So,
Yeah, feel free to email us.
There was a question on here of how to do this with students with disabilities. Working in a gen ed population, there are always students with disabilities, and I have ICT classes as well. And this year, I'm going to be doing this with an 8th grade class, specifically creating an immersive sensory piece of theater for the District 75 school in our building. But don't know what it's going to be like yet, but I'm in the process of devising that right now. It's something with my students.
The device piece?
Using the text that fits them, that'll be our guide.
If the students don't feel comfortable creating their own works yet, do you have any recommendations for pieces that would work really well, maybe for some beginner students?
I think Shakespeare works really well. I've done this also during the pandemic. I did it with Tempest, and we did like a Google Choose Your Adventure, like click into and like lead from one scene to the next. Shakespeare just works really well because there are so many plot lines and so many characters that you're like, what's happening? And then if you get to follow one character and just kind of see it from their perspective, you can choose to do that.
And depending on age group, also like fairy tales can definitely work.
Yeah, for sure.
Especially if you're doing multiple ones, and different spaces are different fairy tales if you're working in like an elementary school population. And it's not, for me, it wasn't that my students wrote it. It was that we all came up with what characters would be in this space, how might we cluster them. Then I met with each group, and it's like, what might happen, and we discussed it, and then they felt invested in the story, and I went home and wrote the scene. Just because we didn't have time to also do a playwriting.
And Dale is an excellent, those adaptations you worked from today, Dale wrote, he's an excellent playwright. So he has the capacity to do that, I do not. So I let my students.
All right, thank you so much. Thank you for just going with it. That's kind of what immersive theater is, and definitely what we asked of you today, so thank you so much.
If you are sitting